Okay, let's talk audio interfaces. Now, there are so many of these things on the market and they're such an important but kind of dull thing that it's really hard to know what to buy and get excited and enthused about it. Now, I work for a company called Guitar Interactive magazine doing reviews, and they sent me through this, the Tascam 208i. And this is a really nice, small, compact, but highly featured audio interface. Now, full disclosure, when this came through for review, I did the review, did the video, wrote the review up, and I was so impressed with this unit that I really wanted one for myself. Now, this is not your standard kind of sponsored video that you'll see on YouTube where the company get in contact with you and they say, would you like to do a video and we'll pay you for the video. This is a little bit different. This product came to me for review, and I was so impressed with it, as I say, that I felt like this would be a really useful thing for me to have in terms of both the price of this unit and its feature set. Now, I've just recently got an iPad Pro, and I was looking for an interface that I could use for that, for doing kind of mobile, if that ever becomes a thing again, of course, thanks to coronavirus, but mobile recording sessions. And this fitted the bill incredibly well, not just for that, but as an interface within itself anyway. So for this video, what I want to do is talk about the 208i. Now, the situation we ended up with was that I contacted Tascam asking if I could buy this very unit. And their suggestion was that, why don't we exchange a video for the product? So if you talk about why you like the product on your YouTube channel, just keep the unit. So this is not your standard sponsored video. I'm not getting paid for this per se. I'm exchanging my time for a unit that I would have bought anyway. Just want to make that really clear. So with that said, let's have a look at this interface, why I like it, and why you probably should check it out as well. Tascam are not necessarily a brand that everybody thinks of when they think of audio interfaces that you might want to go out and buy. But in actual fact, this is a superb unit, so let's check out why. So here is the 208i, and the 20 and 8-bit stand for 20 inputs and 8 outputs. Now that already is pretty remarkable at the price point that this interface exists at, to have that many inputs and that many outputs. You normally have to spend a little bit more. Now on the front panel here, you can see you've got your 4 different XLR preamps. These are Tascam's Ultra HDDA preamps, and like with a lot of preamps on the market these days in these kind of interfaces, they're low noise, highly transparent, and they've got plenty of gain on board for running any kind of mics that you might want to run, from ribbon mics to dynamics to condensers, whatever you need. But the feature set gets really interesting straight away, because there's a little switch down at the bottom of each of these channels that allows you to switch between instrument level, mic level, or, and this is the bit that raised my eyebrows when I first saw this unit, individually switchable phantom power for each channel. Now that might not seem like much, but most interfaces at this price point with this form factor have either global phantom power, or they have phantom power that's switchable for multiple channels at once, which is a problem if I want to run different mic types or different mic configurations. If I want to do a video and I have a Royer R121 and an SM57 on my cab for a guitar, but I want to run a condenser mic for my vocals, then I run into a problem because I can't run phantom power through my Royer 121. That's going to destroy the ribbon. This unit allows me to run phantom power through just the mics I want to run phantom power through, which is a really nice feature, especially at this price point. Individual gain controls for each channel, obviously everything feels really good. And then moving on to the section at the far end here, we've got a monitor control. Then we also have a direct monitoring control for switching between, or mixing actually, between the DAW signal and our direct monitoring signal. Then we have a gain control for our 2 headphone outputs on here. And these are, there's enough power to run 2 high quality headphones, and these can be mixed individually as well, which is a great thing. But really where this gets super interesting is around the back. So if we turn it around, make sure the camera actually focuses on it just here. Okay, now this is where I really started to think, wow, this is a really amazing interface for the money in terms of the feature set. Because look in here, a lot of this stuff you will not find on interfaces at this price. So let's start with the outs. We've got 8 outputs, okay? Now there are so many reasons why you might want 8 outputs. You can run 3 sets of monitors through this interface for doing different, checking mixes through different sets of monitors. Most interfaces, in fact, I can't think of a single other interface at this price point. Now, please, guys, this is probably something I've missed. There may be other interfaces at this price point that do that. Feel free to leave them in the comments section below if they do. But to my understanding, I can't think of another interface that's got 8 outputs at this price point that allows you to run, say, 3 sets of monitors for checking your mixes and still have 4 outputs left for running to a recorder, running different cue mixes. whatever you need to do, essentially running out to another unit for reamping, for instance. It's pretty phenomenal. Now, for you guys who are doing film scores, these 8 outputs allow you to do full 7.1 mixing if you want to, which is just phenomenal. They're, again, at this price point and this size of interface, that is pretty amazing because this is a compact interface. It's very small and light. We also have full word clock integration. Now, this is super useful for anybody who is running an external digital preamp. And this is really common these days to run an external 8-channel preamp. Tascam make one. I've got an Audient ASP 800 behind me that's running into my interface just to expand the interface. Now, what you can find is you can have clocking issues if you don't clock via word clock. You can clock via ADAT, but I've had issues in the past when I've used my Universal Audio Apollo Twin for doing clocking that I can't clock to the preamp, my 8-channel preamp, and you get what's called sync drift, especially if you do video content, where when you've recorded your audio, it doesn't line up with the video properly and you have to stretch and expand or contract the audio. If you clock to your external preamp via word clock, you can be guaranteed that it will be bang on every single time because you are clocking to the device you are using to record, which is fantastic. So word clock in and out is a phenomenal feature to have on here. This can be run as the master or the slave, which is brilliant. Now we also have MIDI integration. Okay, so we've got MIDI in and MIDI out, which is again really useful if you have older devices that are not USB MIDI compatible. Then we also have on this side 2 ADAT SMUX inputs. These will accept 8 channels each, and that's how we get to the 16 plus 4 on the front, so 20 inputs. Now these go up to 192 kilohertz. All the inputs go up to 192 kilohertz. Now, of course, as with all ADAT inputs, if you run at 192, you drop your ADAT input by half, so you get 8 inputs at 192 kilohertz, which is nuts, because that gives you 12 inputs from this device plus an external preamp at 192 kilohertz, which is pretty amazing, really. So really, really phenomenal work from Tascam on that regard. Now, the one thing I will say is this is not bus powered. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that would be amazing if it was bus powered, because obviously I could just take this and my computer or my iPad or whatever and bus power it. But to have this many inputs with word clock, it's just not really feasible to have that be bus powered. So it does come with its own wall wart power supply, but it's discreet and small, and there's a lock on here as well to make sure that you're not kind of pulling that out as you're going. Now the device itself, as you can see, is really nicely constructed. It's all metal chassis, really, really nice kind of look to it. Very modern kind of metal design to it. And it's USB 2. Now, if you're worrying about the fact that it's USB 2, which I did at first, and I kind of commented on this in my review, a lot of people these days with Thunderbolt and USB 3 interfaces, they're worried about the latency. Now, what you might not know is a lot of companies farm out their driver development to third-party companies in order to develop the driver for their ASIO or to make sure everything works with kind of core audio on macOS, for instance. Tascam have developed their own driver in-house for this USB 2 interface, and of course it's USB 3 compatible as well, but it runs at USB 2 standards. Because they've developed their own driver, it allows them to get down to a buffer size of 4 samples. Now, I've never seen that before either. You know, regardless of the price point, 4 samples means that you can get your latency down to insanely low milliseconds. Normally it will go down to about 16, I believe, for most interfaces. So 4 samples. Now, almost all computers made within the last few years with modern CPUs and will be able to handle that. Set it down to 4 milliseconds for tracking, then set it back up to 512, 256, 1024 for mixing. Again, a really, really great feature. Now, the unit itself also comes with DSP built in. You've got DSP mixing, but it doesn't stop there. You've got compression per channel, you've got reverb per channel as well, which is fantastic. And those can be accessed via the mixer software that comes with the unit. It also ships with a whole bunch of software as well that you can see on screen now, like some Cubase stuff, stuff from Isotope, Amplitude and T-Rax, for instance. There's a lot of very, very, very cool stuff on here that's going to allow you to get recording straight away. So I was kind of blown away by this. I think that Tascam have done an incredible job producing an interface for the money that kind of blows the competition out the water, really. And, you know, again, remember, this is a video where I've got this unit and want to use it for myself. Now, the way I'm going to use this is it's completely class compliant. Now, you do need ASIO drivers for Windows. However, I'm going to use this with my new iPad Pro. Kind of plug it in, use it with GarageBand or Cubasis on the iPad, and full multi-track recording with almost zero latency, and the ability to not have any drivers at all installed. It's just phenomenal what you can do with this unit. And of course that means that I could have iPad capability or any kind of mobile-based capability with this unit with a small laptop, for instance a MacBook Pro, or using a small PC-based laptop, and have 20 channels of input, with an external preamp, for a really, really great price, with full word clock capability, onboard mixing with reverb and compression as well, and full EQ. Just amazing, absolutely fantastic. So I highly recommend that you check this device out, guys. Tascam may not be one of the bigger names in the audio interface market. Of course, they're a huge name in the audio market, but in the audio interface market, people tend to overlook them. And I think that's what's pushed them to produce such a highly spec'd unit for such a great price. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed this overview, guys. Again, I highly recommend you check this out. As usual, if you did enjoy this overview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Hit that bell notification icon to ensure you're notified every time I put a video up, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.